Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
The fourth dimension will collapse upon itself, you stupid bitch.
Shut up, I'm a man and I know what's good for me.
Bountiful penis. Amen.
Boy, my ass is sore.
You can get pink eye from farting in a pillow?
Yeah, but you gotta be bare-assed.
I'm gonna invent a toothbrush for your butthole.
It does the trick.
Paddington Bear.
He's a homewrecker?
Yeah, he wrecks homes.
You are a murderer of love.
I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome to another episode of I Drink Your Podcast. With me today are Emily.
Hello.
And Wesley.
This is not Matt.
That's right. Matt is not here with us today, but we are joined by a couple special guests in Rashawn and Josh from Cinephiles Attack. How you doing, guys?
What's up?
Hey, you're pretty good.
That's Josh. The first one was Rashawn.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
Josh.
yeah, I should have waited.
How dare you?
So what do you guys have in your glasses today? I'm going to go first just because I'm just drinking water. I got my second COVID shot today, and I'm not feeling great, so I'm not going to be drinking.
Well, that's too bad because this fuzzy navel from Prince Charming's Poisoned Apple bar is really great. I love it. I've never had a fuzzy navel before, but it's quite nice.
I've never had the drink.
Me neither. What is a fuzzy navel?
A fuzzy navel is peach schnapps and orange juice, but I have orange juice with mango in it, so I'm a fancy bitch.
Delicious.
I made a virgin daiquiri. I'm being really responsible today, guys. Whatever.
I'm drinking LaCroix because I'm a basic bitch.
Yeah.
Can't
Very
confirm.
Nice. Is it flavored LaCroix at least?
It's lime. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm not a psychopath.
Oh, so it's
Right.
green like Shrek. I got it.
Yeah.
I see the connection now.
It's themed.
Yes, absolutely.
So in my glass is something that no one ever needs a third round of. Also, I tried to make it green. It's more blue, but it is it's blue.
That's very blue.
It's straight blue. Yeah.
Well, it looks bluer on screen than. Fuck it. Trust me, it's more green than it looks. It's blue curacao, yellow lemonade, Gatorade, and vodka.
Oh.
And I can't imagine having a third one of these. Like, I can't imagine having a third Shrek.
Oh,
Very nice. Well, Rashawn, welcome back. Can you give us an update on how Cinephiles is going and what you guys are up to?
Yeah, thanks for having us back. We have done a few new things in the new year. The biggest is that we have brought guests onto the show. As you guys know, you were the first people to grace us with your presence, and it was a great episode. We've also started to review new movies.
Okay.
So we started with Wonder Woman 1984. A hold for applause.
Not from you, dude.
No. And then we recently did WandaVision, and then coming up very soon, we'll be doing Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, very nice.
Awesome.
I just got caught up on all those other ones of that.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Oh, it was hella fun time, but not great.
What team are you on?
You know what? I don't know enough about the history of King Kong for me to feel like I can support King Kong. And Godzilla just seems like a destructive power to be reckoned with.
Yeah, a destructive power without any thumbs, so.
It's not Donkey Kong? That's so disappointing.
Man, I watched the wrong movies.
What if in Godzilla versus Kong there's a Martha moment, but instead it's a Mothra moment?
Love it. Love it.
Rashawn, laugh.
I just want them to kiss at the end. That's all.
These are all great suggestions.
We'll see what happens. And then lastly, we just joined TikTok.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Lacey and Josh are killing the game on TikTok. So go find
Wonderful.
us.
Nice.
So, Josh, this is your first time on with us.
Yes.
So we are a 2007 podcast. What were you up to in 2007?
2007, I was a little 16-year-old shit in Minnesota.
Hey!
Yeah. In Fairmont, Minnesota, where I grew up, I did a lot of theater, I did a lot of sports, and I did a lot of Mountain Dew. But 2007 was the year that the movie that inspired me to enter the entertainment business came out.
Ooh, not Shrek 3, not Shrek 3, not Shrek 3.
What do you guys have a guess? What do you think? When you think you have done the movie before?
Did we do it recently or like the first one?
Semi-recently.
I think No Country.
American Gangster.
Actually, they haven't done it yet. I think they're going to do it.
Oh, they're going to do it.
I Am Legend?
It's I Am Legend, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you guys are doing that soon, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it here. I just wanted to double up because I had already done all the research. But it was too late. Yeah, I Am Legend came out and I saw that in the theaters with a full theater, and I saw how it affected everyone and affected me, both with the comedy and the action and the drama. And I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. This is great.
That's awesome. What other movies have kind of been like your influences, things that you really find yourself loving?
I was big into I'm big into sort of
Weeb shit.
When it comes to like dramas and really like, I love The Hurt Locker. I love sort of one man or one woman's journey. I love seeing a story character driven, but if it's just one character, I've since soured on The Hurt Locker a little bit after about 1,000 rewatches, but I'm big into whether it's a redemption arc or a pure hero's journey. I'm big into investing in a character and watching them grow.
I can't stop thinking about what if Hurt Locker was some weeb shit.
No judgment, Josh. I'm like so into anime. It's ridiculous.
If Hurt Locker was some weeb shit, it would take him 4 episodes to defuse one bomb.
Oh, that's accurate.
Someone explain weeb shit to me.
It's a lifestyle, Rashawn. You wouldn't get it. It's a formerly derogatory, now almost meme level phrase of a weeb is someone who's into anime, Japanese culture, everything you're not.
I have culture and class and taste, bitch.
Well, Rashawn, as a counter, what were some movies that you kind of fell in love with and got you into the movie game?
Well, I definitely don't shut up about this on our show.
Zodiac?
Yes, Zodiac. The way you said that, I didn't like that. But the movie that I think just completely affected me was 10 years old watching Scream 2 in a theater. Just had no business there. But there's the opening, of course, in the theater with Jada Pinkett, and a 10-year-old should just not be watching that. But I made it. I'm here. I survived.
It made you the person you are today.
It really did. And I'm just all about that horror shit. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest impact I've ever had with the movie.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys both for being on today to talk about another hero on his journey in Shrek. Right in Josh's wheelhouse right here.
Hell yeah.
If you haven't listened to the podcast before, during the first half, we will be discussing and reviewing Shrek the Third. And the second half will feature our Battle of Twits, a creative competition this week featuring both of our guests pitted against each other. Will they be friends afterwards? We will find out. Rashawn versus Josh. So our current leaderboard is the guests with 8 points, Wes with 6, Emily with 3, myself with 3, and Matt with 2. So no matter what happens today, the guests will topple 10 points and receive their reward.
I could decide to give somebody no points.
I guess, yeah.
I could taskmaster this and say, you guys didn't do it right.
That's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
It definitely won't. So with this movie, Shrek the Third, it was directed by Chris Miller and features Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz, Eddie Murphy, Antonio Banderas, and Justin Timberlake.
So then I was all like, I'd rather get the Black Plague and lock myself in an Iron Maiden than go out with you.
Totally. Pardon me.
Ugh, totally ooh-eth.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, I just altered my character level to +3 superability.
Hi. We're looking for someone named...
Gee, who rolled a +9 dork spell and summoned the beast and his quadrupeds.
Shrek is looking forward to returning to the swamp with Fiona and life getting back to normal. But then Fiona's father, the Frog King, dies, leaving Shrek in charge of the kingdom unless he can convince someone else in the family to take over. Shrek's world is further upended with Fiona's announcement that she is pregnant, just as Shrek sets off to find the king's cousin Artie. Shrek, Donkey, and Puss convince total nerd Artie to drop out of high school and come to far, far away with them.
Oh, that word hit wrong.
Yeah, you're really
Puss or Artie?
real big plosive on the puss.
And Ben hits it hard.
It has been a long time since I've watched any of the Shreks, and I figured I'd just dive into this without catching up at all on either prior. And boy, did I forget that the king was a frog. Totally did not remember that at all. I heard the king was dying. I was like, oh shit, here we go. It's a frog.
I totally forgot that as well. And I was like,
same,
kind of half paying attention. And I think they lead into it with the attempted joke of, it's not like somebody's dying. And then they cut to a frog on a lily pad. And I was like, oh, that's a lame joke. And it like never crossed my mind that like, oh, that's the king. This is important. I was like, oh, they just found some dying frog to like be the punchline of this joke.
You guys don't know Shrek 2 front to back? That's really weird.
You know, this year I purposefully watched Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 just to prepare for the eventual disaster of watching Shrek 3 for this podcast. And even then, I didn't remember that the king was a frog.
It's like one of the last things that happens in Shrek 2.
I feel like it's not very important to the story.
It really isn't. Although I will say I did enjoy Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 a lot, even now when I rewatched them. They were really fun, and they had like an actual plot that I could follow that was like driving everything forward. It was very fairy tale, making fun of things, and I still chuckled at a lot of the jokes. And the soundtracks were banger.
Mm-hmm. The word you're looking for is perfect. Shrek 1 and 2 are perfect.
I mean, Shrek 1 goes.
If you are still interested in Shrek 1 and happen to be in Minnesota, doing a little bit of research here before the podcast, it's in theaters now.
Oh, that's right.
You can go see Shrek 1 right now.
Wow. No, thank you.
Despite however we feel about Shrek 3, this movie is built on a franchise that has lasted 20 years now since the first Shrek came out and is still in theaters. You know, might have a Corona to give a little credit for not having any new movies to allow theater space for Shrek to show. But, you know, that's still, of all the movies in the world, it still holds a place in culture.
I mean, working at Universal Studios, I can attest that Shrek and Donkey and the Fiona meet and greets are still some of the most popular. Like, they pull the same numbers that the live dinosaurs do. So there's still an audience for Shrek.
Well, and I do think it's because those first two movies, and Rashad, I think Shrek 2 is better than Shrek 1, and maybe we can fight about that later. But
no,
Shrek 2 is the perfect film, in my opinion.
Oh, why is that?
Of the Shrek franchise. I love the way that they incorporate the music into like the actual diegesis of it, like the fairy godmother singing that song at the end. That song is such a banger, and it's such a great cover. Josh?
I'm just excited. I forgot about it.
Okay.
The last, I Need a Hero. That was what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good.
It really is.
That's all. I forgot how good it was.
Yeah. And I don't know, for Shrek 2 is just able to kind of start off really fast and stay fast the entire movie because it doesn't have to do that world building that the first one did. And because of that, it's stronger and funnier from start to finish.
Are you shitting on Shrek 1? Because, yeah, we can fight.
No, I love Shrek 1. We're definitely not going to be fighting about that.
Okay, cool.
He just thinks it's better.
I do agree with you that Shrek 2 is the better movie. But I love both of them so much.
Back to Shrek 3, I'm a big fan at the end of Act 1 of the John Krasinski moment. Lancelot is John Krasinski?
Yes. What the fuck was that?
Iconic, that's what that was.
Really? Was it?
No.
I didn't recognize his voice until I looked it up later. That's the one thing in this movie. I wasn't really recognizing voices like I was in the first and second movie. I was like, oh, I recognize these voices like John Lithgow and Julie Andrews and John Cleese. And then this movie, I'm like, what the fuck is even happening?
It seems like this late in the Shrek game, with how popular it is, they would be able to get or want more big name celebrity cameos, but maybe not. I don't know. It just seemed like there wasn't a big reveal of any character or celebrity that maybe would have been more exciting.
I'm with Emily, where I normally have a pretty good ear for voice actors. And especially with Krasinski, like I heard it and I knew that was somebody, but I don't think he's done much voiceover work. So maybe that's why I didn't pick up on it right away. But also at the same time, Josh, I kind of disagree a little bit. I think the casting in this versus the first two movies has a much bigger list of recognizable names. And maybe that's a 2020 perspective on 2007 actors who have made it since then.
That's
but like,
true.
again, Josh, to your point, I agree and disagree with you. So I think we come out of this even.
Nice.
I think there were a lot of people in this movie, but they did not, to your point, make an emphasis of saying like, we've got this person, or they didn't give like a huge starring role. Like the Krasinski part, all of the fairy princesses were recognizable names. Rapunzel was Maya Rudolph, and that was like the only one I could like pick out without looking at it.
Right.
Going back to look at the first two, I was shocked at how popular those were versus how popular Shrek 3 was compared with the kind of star meter of the cast.
But that does show us like the trend of what happened with a lot of these extra animated movies. We've talked about this before on our show with Ratatouille and with B-Movie, and how Disney and all of the other animated people out there, there's so many little things that now, but how they try to use famous actors as a marketing stunt. So I don't know. I don't like it.
I feel like Pixar doesn't as much as like
started to a little bit though. Like think of Inside Out, but they didn't use like that for marketing, you know?
Yeah,
versus...
I feel like they cast for voice, and they just happen to be famous people. Whereas DreamWorks is like Cameron Diaz, Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, come see them. And they're doing like celebrity voices.
Right. With DreamWorks, it's what name can we get on the marquee to sell this movie? And with Pixar, it's where is the character like rooted, and what should they sound like? Like Remy, Patton Oswalt was famous before Ratatouille, but they didn't hire him because he was famous.
They hired him because he has an adorable rat voice.
Yeah.
They weren't looking to draw the King of Queens audience into the theater for Ratatouille.
Right.
As a fan of Patton Oswalt, I'm personally hurt by that, but I also liked his role in King of Queens.
Oh, he's incredible. You guys, Rashawn, I could quote every special he's ever made.
I don't know what this is.
It's a Kevin James TV show. You don't need to watch it. Don't worry about it.
Wesley and I are going to break off and do a King of Queens exclusive podcast.
So this movie at the beginning really does feel like it's just throwing a bunch of shit against the wall, hoping that something sticks and is funny to the audience. But very little of it sticks. I don't know why some of these gags didn't land, but they just felt so hackneyed. Like the beginning where Shrek kills a guy with a sword, and that's humor. Then Shrek like destroys a ship with a bottle.
And it sets fire?
And it catches fire because that's how ships and bottles clearly work.
Oh man, I laughed. I'm so sorry.
Those are my favorite things to write down. That one upset me so much, I didn't write it down. But Ben, I totally agree that it seems so half-assed and the jokes didn't land. And I think the biggest problem for me, and it probably made the rest of the jokes seem less funny, but they were all regurgitated. So much of this movie was like, hey, remember in Shrek 1 when I said better out than in? This is just lazy. It's cash grab.
Yeah, and it feels like, too, this might be looking too into it, but like it was this huge problem that started in like the mid to late 2000s, I think, and it shows in some animated movies, but Family Guy was so popular that I feel like these like quick tableau, like, oh, he kills a guy, then he destroys the ship, and then like these quick cuts of like wacky instances happening. Everyone wanted a piece of that action, and it doesn't fit in Shrek's world.
I'm gonna be the dissenting opinion. I'm used to it.
Somebody's got to. Yeah.
I don't think that they fully work. So I do agree with you guys, but the reason I buy into it is because I love these two characters so much. And so if you're just putting Shrek and Fiona, who we've been within through two movies, and you're just putting them in these crazy situations, I'm like, where are you going? Get there quicker. But whatever you're doing with them, okay, just do it. I laughed at the bottle in the ship. I'm sorry. It's cheap, but it got me.
Yeah. And Rashawn, it got me too. Like, okay,
good.
They were a little bit more superficial laughs for me, where I still was like, ha ha ha, this is so funny. But it wasn't like the really clever hilarity that the first two movies had.
And I will say this, the beginning of this movie where Shrek and Fiona are doing like the king and queen stuff. Sadly, that's the best part of the movie because it's all downhill after that.
Oh no.
Like once we lose the foundation of these characters and the comedy being rooted in these characters we know and love, and we start getting into just broad satire, like with the high school scene, it really loses all of its footing.
I did find some of the high school stuff a little bit funny.
There were a few high school tropes that were funny. I didn't like everything, but I did enjoy the sassy, mean girl and I'm trying to remember the cheerleaders. Their little cheer was really funny to me. But otherwise, everything about it was stupid. Like Donkey went to high school and college. What? Like took me right out of it.
It's kind of a little bit of a retread of them getting to Duloc and seeing this new world that they kind of satire.
But they don't even spend much time there.
There's no stakes in them being there at all.
No.
I think if like something had happened other than Shrek going in and basically kidnapping a child with his consent and then left, maybe if they stuck around or a teacher had to get involved. I don't need to pitch ideas to Shrek 3. But I agree. It had potential, but it didn't land.
It was very rushed.
Yeah. And by the third movie in a series too, you do have to kind of stretch for like, what's my new goal here? And this was definitely meant to be more of a not new love, not figuring out who you are power movie. This was we're going to start a family and things are going to get real. And that's not a kid's movie.
And I think you kind of hit that too with this whole movie kind of lacked stakes, I think, not to go too far into Act 2 and 3, but like the whole time is like Shrek needs to go get Artie, but Shrek could be king if Artie doesn't want to. Shrek just doesn't want to. Like every stake had a kind of like, well, it had an easy out instead of just giving it a hard A or B stake. Everything kind of was just a little beige.
Sorry, I had a terrible thought. I was like, yeah, Shrek doesn't want to be a father. Guess we're getting an abortion. Oh, God.
What fairy tale creature would run an abortion clinic?
It has to be Rumpelstiltskin.
Captain Hook is the answer.
Oh.
No. Yeah, I think that's the answer.
Get out of here!
Where are Shrek and Fiona?
Name doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, no bell.
I suggest you freaks cooperate with the new king of far, far away.
The only thing you're ever gonna be king of is king of the stupids.
Prince Charming recruits a coalition of fairy tale villains to fight back and take over the kingdom. First, by attempting to capture Princess Fiona and her friends during Fiona's baby shower, and second, by preventing Shrek and Artie from getting back to the kingdom. Shrek and Artie bond over daddy issues and some ass-kicking before Merlin magics them back to far, far away.
Okay, this is when all of these different things that they just start trying too hard to force feed us as the audience, that these are all these really important pieces. Like, for example, Shrek having these heart-to-hearts with Artie, and they're like, yeah, kid, I'm going to relate to you. And I'm sitting there going, okay, this might be funny for some children, but it doesn't seem to connect with the adult audience that fell in love with these characters.
He's learning how to be a dad. It's clunky, but he leaves far, far away, not wanting to deal with kids at all. And then he has to escort this kid back to the kingdom. And he learns that, maybe it won't be so bad raising a kid. Not saying it's the smoothest ride to get there, but I feel like what they're trying to do is mature Shrek a little bit.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. And I think a lot of the reason for that failing is on Justin Timberlake, because I think he's truly terrible in this movie. It feels just so fake, everything he says, especially that when he's talking about the bird and like the baby bird falling out in the nest. I was like, what is this? Like, this is so... You said that was for kids, Emily. I don't see how any kid would be able to watch that and be like, yeah, I'm entertained by that story.
Or understand what the hell's supposed to be happening. And then they immediately turn that into Shrek going like, saying something about him going really deep on it. But it was like the most surface level understanding of like what an image was that you're trying to interpret. It was so dumb.
See, I was thinking about the weird lingo Shrek was trying to communicate to Artie in the beginning, and I was like, this is nothing. Nope, this could just, boop, get rid of it. And they just completely changed Shrek as a character. He was not like that. He wasn't just a fucking idiot. You know, he was actually kind of smart and fun. And they completely changed his sarcastic self.
I think this movie wasted Puss completely. I think for being ostensibly the third, maybe fourth character, there's Shrek, Donkey. Puss might be in it more than Fiona. He did nothing the whole time. He was there for a body swap bit at the end, but Puss didn't matter, which is a shame because Antonio Banderas is great as Puss in Boots. It's a good character. There's a lot of potential there, and it's just was not used at all.
Well, I mean, they did give him his own movie.
That's true. I forgot.
I mean, even Donkey's wasted in this. Like all of the side characters that we've come to care about were kind of just pushed to the side in favor of these new side characters, none of which were interesting or funny.
Donkey, the only reason Donkey got any airtime is because he had a link to family and having children. He was the best friend who already has kids that can be like, hey, Shrek, look, I love my kids. Like that's his arc. And then, a body swap that I would argue does not pay off for 1 second during this entire thing.
There's one payoff of that, and that's Puss as Donkey trying to do his little, like, I'm a cute cat thing.
Yeah.
And that's the only gag that I found funny about that body swap.
Okay. Maybe that's something that we'll disagree on.
When they're like, kill him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I'm really disappointed with a lot of the side characters because, you know, introducing all of those princesses, you know, right, Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, whatever. And then you also have Artie, which he's supposed to be a major character, but I didn't feel like he had any substance to him, as well as like the princesses didn't really have any substance to him. And then we have our other fairy tale creatures like the Big Bad Wolf and Pinocchio, those characters, and they're in there for a second and then gone and just kind of wasted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you spent 2 movies. I like the Gingerbread Man. I like Pinocchio.
I know.
I've garnered these relationships with these characters. Please don't throw them away. Like, there's a lot of good bits that you can do with Gingerbread Man and Pinocchio and the Big Bad Wolf and the 3 Little Pigs. Why are we wasting time on Artie? Just like head empty, no thoughts. That dude had like nothing's going on with Artie.
And just a terrible choice of voice. Like, I think that was the thing I hated the most about Justin Timberlake in this. But while you were saying that did make me think about another movie that we've done somewhat recently, but the Simpsons movie, where Shrek 1 and 2, you're right, has built this world of characters that up until now we like. And we know their backstory, their persona, what we like and don't like about them. And this, again, just felt like a really lazy attempt to say, hey, remember this, where we've seen another movie like The Simpsons, and I know that Connor probably disagrees with me, but didn't give them the justice that The Simpsons did. Even though The Simpsons movie only gives them like 2 seconds, they figured out a way to fan service all of these characters in the world without making them feel like, hey, they're here too. We didn't forget about them, but they're not going to do anything.
Like not a throwaway gag kind of thing.
Right.
I want to take a stopwatch and like truly down to the second. I want to find out all of Merlin's screen time versus Donkey's versus Puss versus Fiona. Like, it feels like I zoned out when Merlin was on screen. I did not care at all. And he was given so much time.
Yeah.
I really like all of the Fiona and the princess stuff. I think it, like I said before, it's not smooth, but I think in a different movie, Fiona would have just stayed in the castle and she would have been looking out the window waiting for Shrek to return. But I think they try to give her an active plot while Prince Charming is storming the castle and kind of taking over. She's not just sitting idly by waiting for Shrek to return. And I think a lot of the princess stuff with Amy Poehler and Maya Rudolph, I think it's really fun. It's just not, there's 3 different movies all fighting for screen time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
I do think that the inclusion of the princesses, and specifically Rapunzel, kind of boils down to the beef that exists between DreamWorks and Disney. So if you don't know the backstory, Eisner was in charge of Disney in the mid-90s, and Katzenberg was like his number 3. And Katzenberg wanted to be number 2 if this guy ever got out, whose name was Frank Wells. He died in a helicopter crash. And then Eisner, instead of giving Katzenberg his job, took over Frank Wells' job and basically just made him czar of Disney. So then Katzenberg breaks off and starts DreamWorks with Spielberg. And that's why you get Ants and A Bug's Life at the same time, because Katzenberg came from Disney, knew what was happening with Bug's Life, and took this idea to be spiteful to Disney. And I think there's some spitefulness here because making Rapunzel the villain of this, when Tangled had been announced to be coming out soon, is such like a middle finger of DreamWorks to Disney. Like, it's just so spiteful. And I didn't like that twist that Rapunzel was a bad guy. It didn't fit.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
but I don't think it fit. I just didn't mind it.
Yeah, I'm pretty lukewarm on the whole Rapunzel twist in this movie. I'm all about that spitefulness, though. I love the shadiness.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I loved about Shrek 1 and 2, because it didn't seem so on the nose with like, hey, we're making fun of fairy tales, even though it kind of was. But it was just this different twist that you weren't expecting. And then we get into this one and it just felt incomplete.
Yeah.
I think Shrek 1 was like fairy tales, myths, folklore, magic creatures. It's kind of all up against the wall. But this one felt pointed. It's like, these are the Disney princesses. One of them's going to turn into the villain. Like, it was very much specific instead of just like everything magical is getting poked at. Like, this one had a point of view.
Oh, and I even mentioned this to Ben when I was watching this, and I was like, hey, you know what? Shrek Third did the whole Tangled villain scene before Tangled did. You know how they're all like villains and I have a dream thing, whatever.
I think that might actually be counter spitefulness by Disney saying, you did this, we're going to do it better. And by putting it in Tangled, like, you tried to take Rapunzel and turn her into a villain, we're coming back at you.
Josh is enjoying this.
I love it. More.
Give me more.
I am too. I like want to document all these like hypothetical beefs and start rumors. This is because Shrek didn't wear pants when he was having a nightmare at graduation in front of all of his children.
That nightmare is crazy, man.
Fucking insane.
Those
That's like
babies.
the stuff from the movies that Rashawn likes.
It is. Give me more of that.
When that baby head on the donkey turns and is like, da-da, like, that is scary.
Yes.
Give me a full-length Shrek dream exclusive only to Shudder.
Audience of one, Rashawn.
You're about to enter a world of pain with which you are not familiar.
Well, it can't be any more painful than the lousy performance you're giving.
When Shrek and the gang arrive back in Far, Far Away, they find the kingdom in turmoil as the villains have taken over and done the most dastardly thing imaginable, written a play. Shrek gets captured and forced to act as himself in the play, till the play is interrupted and Shrek is saved by Fiona, the princesses, and a rousing speech by Artie that convinces the villains to maybe don't, you know? Artie will make a good king, and Shrek and Fiona move back to the swamp and raise their triplets.
So I got to correct you a little bit. They didn't return back to Far, Far Away. They returned back to Go, Go Away, which is probably the laziest line in the entire movie.
But I liked it.
I'm sure you did.
It was a funny little gag.
Rashawn, yes.
I think it's really, really funny that we just recently did Jesse James and the yada, 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 yada. And it's pretty much the same story of, I'm going to get back at you by writing a play about you, dick.
I will say, for being thrown up in a day, the production value of that play was pretty damn good.
Those
Beautiful.
clouds, A+ level, yeah.
It was already a play, though. They already had the props.
It was the same play that they were doing in the beginning of the movie, wasn't it?
Well, he's doing that in like a low off-Broadway production.
Low budget.
And this is Broadway, yeah.
And the pyrotechnics and the props and everything. Beautiful.
I think their subversion of Prince Charming throughout all of the Shreks is just really fun. And the fact that he's just like a prissy brat. And I think his plan to basically behead Shrek in front of an audience and get away with it is kind of like great for a villain. even if it's clunky, but I'm like, he's really about to just kill Shrek and nobody's going to do anything except those 4 guys in the audience that are like, Shrek, we love it.
It's remembering the first 2 movies, but we kind of alluded at it already. But when they're practicing for the play, Charming straight up murders 2 or 3 guys who were in Shrek costumes. He just slashes them in the stomach. And I did have a little chuckle after he kills the last one. And then he just looks down at the guy. He's like, just laying down on the job or something like that. Like, you're just not going to move. He's like, I just killed you.
All 3 Shreks have a pretty high body count, honestly.
We need to go back and do some stats on Shrek.
Farquaad dies because he gets eaten by the dragon.
For sure.
Does he?
Yeah, he gets eaten by the dragon.
Dies, yeah.
I know he gets eaten by the dragon, but there's the part in the karaoke at the end where he sings Staying Alive inside the dragon. I assume he's still
dead.
alive.
No, he eventually decays and dies. There's no way he
Farquaad
can stay
inside
alive.
the dragon is the only reason that Donkey and Dragon are able to have babies.
Let's get into that. Forget about Act 3.
DNA splicing of royalty.
Oh my God,
If
Wesley, I love
all those
you.
babies had Farquaad heads, sick.
Act 3 did have the joke that made me laugh out loud. I think the only time I laughed out loud was when Artie was doing his big speech and he was like, and only you're standing in your way to Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah,
he goes,
right.
me? And all the villains goes, got him. That got me a little bit.
I mean, was there anything else in this movie that you felt was really creative or especially funny?
I did enjoy the little callback of Julie Andrews when she like smashes her head to get the princesses to escape, and she's kind of singing a few of her famous songs slightly, which again could be a little bit of a Disney punch in the face with a spoonful of sugar. But I don't know, there really wasn't anything that made me go, ha, really loud and enjoy it. Otherwise, it was just kind of a superficial.
The only things that really made me laugh or that still stand out that we haven't already talked about were things that made me laugh for things that make Wesley laugh reasons. So it was all ironic or like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
I did appreciate the Pinocchio being interrogated and doing his best to talk circles around Prince Charming. Like, I thought that was a nice evolution of the Pinocchio gag we'd seen in the first 2 movies.
Yeah,
yeah, he gets it.
I remember it playing in every trailer when Shrek the Third was coming out. And I was like, oh, this is so funny. And then by the time I saw the movie, I was like, I saw this already.
Well, I think something especially the first Shrek is so good at is subversion. Like it always subverts these fairy tale characters, and it subverts what you think about ogres and what donkeys. I mean, it subverts Fiona. The princess turns into the ogre and stays the ogre. And this didn't feel like it had anything. It felt very kind of formulaic and like, here's a movie, here's a family comedy, it's animated. Like there were a couple moments like the Pinocchio that was a subversion on what we knew Pinocchio usually cracks under pressure or whatever, and now he's changed, and there wasn't nearly as much in this one as there used to be.
So another thing that the first 2 Shrek movies did really well was incorporate music. Like those first 2 soundtracks are complete like bangers, and this movie misses the boat on every single song choice that they have.
Right.
The choice of Live and Let Die for
I know that was
the
like
King's
the first one
death?
that I was so upset about.
Wait, you guys don't like that?
No.
Oof.
Why was that song? Because someone's dead? Like, there's no relation to anything within the story. Like, it's just literally like, this song has the word die in it, and it's kind of sad. Let's throw it in here.
Right. And it's like this emotional moment. And they suddenly, and I get it, they're trying to be like inclusive of the frogs, I guess, in the world where they're like singing.
Those frogs are
Sure, I
singing
don't
their
know.
ass off.
But like it makes no logical sense, and it's a fast-paced song. It doesn't make sense in the context of what's happening. And then later, what is the song?
9 Crimes by Damien Rice.
Fuck.
Oh my
what
God.
the fuck was that?
I think they were trying to hit another gold mine, like with Hallelujah.
Absolutely. But you can't put that song, like that song's about infidelity and guns. Like, you can't put that song in a Shrek movie and just expect us to not hear the lyrics.
The guttural guffaw that came out of my mouth when that song started.
And then there was another one, The Joker and the Thief by Wolfmother, when they're doing the takeover of Far, Far Away. It didn't fit very well with what was happening. And I know like it's a fun song and I love that song, but it just didn't work for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the speed of that song worked. I think that's the one I think they were closest at. Like I was like, okay, right, this is the right tempo, this is the right BPM, but
but the actual song itself,
it was so close. But not quite.
The one that stood out the most to me was the Immigrant Song. As soon as that came on, I was like, okay, this is going to be like a fight song, a battle song. And then they cut it after like 10 seconds and jump straight into another song.
Barracuda.
Like, do not get me hyped with Immigrant Song and then don't play it.
Exactly.
See, I wonder if DreamWorks just didn't want to shell the cash, because it's something I actually talked to Rashawn about, is that Led Zeppelin is notorious for being really stingy with their music in movies. And to use Immigrant Song for Thor Ragnarok, Marvel had to pay them $4.9 million.
Fuck.
So I'm wondering if DreamWorks was like, we'll pay you as much as we can get that first riff, and that's it.
I will say that was one of the few parts where I felt like the songs matched what was actually happening, though. Like, even though I was a little bit like, okay, I guess we're jumping songs here, it felt like it worked with what was going on. It had the excitement, the thrill, the adventure of these badass women trying to defeat the bad guys, but the rest of it was bleh.
Did everybody watch all the way through the credits?
Mm-hmm.
No, I bailed. What happened?
No post-credit scene, so don't worry. Don't go back and watch it. You didn't miss anything. They start off the credits with the "I want to thank you for letting me be myself again."
It's
sang by Donkey and Puss in Boots, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of the whole body swap thing. It's super, super clever.
That's it. That's the whole.
Oh, wow.
The sarcasm.
Well, and I don't know how you guys felt about the girl power stuff with the princesses. It was super cringeworthy, but it wasn't nearly as cringeworthy as the one in Avengers Endgame.
I was going to mention that as well. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it too. I think it gets something like that is dangerous water to tread, I think, for sure.
I really liked it too, because I think it goes back to what Josh said about subverting expectations. Like, yes, we have this idea in our head that these princesses are prim and proper and waiting to be saved. And then it turns on its head. And I guess I wasn't really expecting that, because Fiona was the one that I knew was this badass princess. And so for me, I was like, oh, okay, I like this. I can handle this.
I think that might have been just me watching in a 2021 mindset, because nowadays, like a lot of the princess movies now, they are just like these kick-ass heroines. So like it didn't feel fresh going back and watching it now, whereas it probably was fresh when that came out.
Right. I agree.
Going back to 2007, that's probably, it had to be as subtle as an anvil to get away with stuff like that. But now we have like Raya and the Last Dragon, which is just is what it is. But back then it was like, we have to have a moment. And I don't know. I dug it. Maybe not Barracuda. Just like, retire that song from montages. But yeah, I dug it.
I think that's kind of interesting too, that as I don't think we've said it yet. This is our 50th episode.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome. So now that we've watched 50 2007 movies, I definitely have noticed something in watching so many movies from the same era, that what you were just saying, Rashawn and Ben, about how this would have looked in that 2007 lens versus now. Like, this is less egregious than a lot of things that we've seen. We won't mention names, but just some terrible movies that we've watched and talked about on this show that got away with quote unquote humor that was okay then, but it's like so far gone now. But I just real quick,
racist, sexist, homophobic, all of those fun things.
Terrible in general. Yeah.
What they call comedy.
I don't know if Ben, Emily, have you guys felt the same thing about the levels of things being in a 2021 lens for being in 2007? Like, have you started to notice trends about things that are more acceptable and you can kind of see like where they were going? Maybe it wasn't so bad versus they were just straight up wrong.
I mean, we have watched movies where they are clearly just wrong. Heartbreak Kid, like there's no justifying anything that movie does. But I don't think this movie gets a pass either when it comes to that, because The Ugly Stepsister, under today's lens, is very transphobic. in their representation. So,
and I'm not trying to say it gets a pass because it's older, but I think that's interesting that the more we watch, like there's definitely problematic, but some are like, I'm not as upset. Like I don't like shame them for how they thought.
There was room for growth, obviously. And I think with watching this many movies in 1 year, we have noticed so many more patterns and have seen how far we have come. I think there's still room for growth, obviously, with a 2021 lens. But I think that it actually has helped me pay attention more to how we have grown when it comes to culture.
Yeah, that's something we talk about on our podcast a lot is we haven't reviewed a comedy that has aged completely well. And it's interesting. I mean, there in 20 years from now, there will be 2021 comedies that have bits in it that we don't even realize right now are not okay. And we'll learn 20 years from now that they weren't, and we'll learn why, and we'll adjust. But it's especially prevalent in comedies, I think, especially when I don't want to be like, well, studios get involved, but when studios get involved, they want the cheap, easy joke. They want to make sure they can get a laugh. And unfortunately, cheap, easy usually comes at the expense of somebody.
Yep.
I think you guys have such an interesting perspective because you've been watching movies from a specific year, and maybe you wouldn't, with such a focused lens, maybe you wouldn't even notice something like the Doris character in Shrek, which is, I think it's voiced by Larry King, right? So things like that. It's been 14 years, but now we're finally vocal enough and people are receptive enough to hear things like that just shouldn't fly. So
I think part of my reasoning for having this question is that, yes, we've seen a lot of bad movies from this time, but we've also seen a lot of good movies that we don't have these problems with. Josh's point.
I have feelings because I feel like a lot of those movies were playing it safe and just ignored a lot of controversy. And so I don't really have a specific example in mind, but I just was thinking like, instead of going in for like cheap jokes and cheap tricks and whatnot, there were movies that say, you know what, we're going to completely ignore this entire group of people because we don't have to bring them into this movie because it's a period piece whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's the point, Emily, is that the movies that tend to age better are the ones that don't try to center themselves in humor. Like you're going to have There Will Be Blood, No Country for Old Men, Jesse James. These movies are going to age better because they're not trying to make fun of people essentially within their movie. Like you're going lowest common denominator in some of these movies and the comedies with like, you're gay. Well, 2007 was probably starting to be the turning point where like that type of comedy was on the outs, I feel. And I think we see that in a lot of the comedies after this. But yeah, it just felt like the ones that are going to age better are the ones that don't try to be funny.
So that's an extremely fair point.
So Wesley, do you have any observations for us?
These are just a few of our incredible thoughts.
Never pull back a blanket off of somebody who's laying in bed without expecting to see some ogre junk.
Fair.
This is just a personal one. That's not how you play different notes on a trombone.
Dude, I think that's one of my favorite bits. Just that.
No, that's the problem. See, you get it. You move the slide. He held it didn't have a slide, and then he just covered up the bell.
Yeah, it
that's not how you make notes.
I was in a band. I feel you, Wes.
Ben, do you have a game?
Game on! Game on! Game on!
I do, and today Wesley is going to play it because I was not sure about how familiar Rashawn and Josh were with video games, so I know Wesley's a video gamer. So the name of this game is called Get the Shrek Out of Here. So Shrek not only dominated the big screen, he also invaded home screens in the form of video games. There are 17 Shrek video games that were released on console or handheld.
That is the correct face, Rashawn.
Yeah, and there are a ton more phone and browser games. So, Wesley, I'm going to give you a subtitle, and you need to tell me if it's a subtitle to a real Shrek game or if I made it up.
Okay.
Ooh. And if it's real, you need to say Shrek, yeah. And if it's not real, you got to say, get the Shrek out of here.
Okay.
So 60 seconds on the clock, and away we go. Beg for mercy.
Get the Shrek out of here.
Incorrect. Extra large.
Shrek, yeah.
Correct. Fairy Tale All-Stars.
Shrek, yeah.
Incorrect. Farquaad's Revenge.
Shrek, yeah.
Incorrect. Get Shrek'd.
Get the Shrek out of here.
Correct. Hassle at the Castle.
Shrek, yeah.
Correct. Ogres and Dronkies.
Get the Shrek out of here.
Incorrect.
Damn it.
Wreakin' Havoc.
Shrek, yeah.
Correct. Smash and Crash Racing.
Get the Shrek out of here.
Incorrect. Swamp Party.
Shrek, yeah.
Incorrect. Twisted Fairy Tale.
Shrek, yeah.
Incorrect. Wow.
I don't know if you could hear my energy just dropping out my butt during that second.
Yeah.
I would like to circle back to the first one you said that was real.
Yeah. Beg for Mercy.
Beg for Mercy?
Yeah, not even Pray for Mercy. It's a Puss in Cats type video game. It's Shrek Beg for Mercy.
Jesus.
Yeah. that was a hard one because there were points where I was like, oh, Shrek is clever. And then I thought, oh, maybe Ben's just being clever. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, that's not clever. It must not be them.
Yep. Ogres and Dronkies was the one that caused me the most pause.
Same.
What the fuck?
Because it's supposed to be like a baby simulator where you're raising either baby ogres or baby dragon/donkeys. Dronkies.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to do way more research into that one than I wanted to. And let's kick it to the guests. Do you guys have a rating or review for this movie?
Yeah, I have a rating.
Okay.
I'll keep it short because I think Rashawn and I are pretty much in the same boat. I think 1 and 2, especially 1, I think 1's a masterpiece. I think 2 is fantastic. I'm in the camp of liking 1 a little more than 2, but I accept both answers. This one, my eyes stayed open the whole time. I did laugh at some parts. So I'm gonna be generous just because of the joy that the whole franchise has given me in the past. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 7 dwarves.
Oh, yeah. Which 3? This is important.
Sleepy, grumpy, and angry. Is grumpy one?
Grumpy is one. Angry's not.
Angry's not. Oh boy. What are
I
some?
don't think I could name all of them.
Dopey for sure. Dopey. Yeah.
He works at Universal, not at Disneyland.
Yeah. So get off my case.
Right.
Rashawn.
Yeah, pretty much in line with Josh. A little nicer because I did enjoy this movie, but I think after the first 2 home runs of Shrek and Shrek 2, we just get a little diminishing returns. But I think even an average Shrek is still a cut above most animated comedies. It's still clever. It's not as smart, but the characters are what keep bringing me back. And I give it 3 out of 5 poison apples.
Which 3 poison apples?
A red apple, a Granny Smith apple, and an apple pie.
What?
Oh. Okay. And now it's time to play Battle of the Cinephiles Attack. I will pose a triplet of Shrektions.
Don't.
To our less than swamp spurts. Let them try to convince me who is the most confident in their own skin this week, and then I'll tell them which one is wrong. The winner of each round will get a regurgitated direct line from a Shrek prequel. Second place will get a red-colored earwax crayon that Shrek's kid pulls out of his ear. I will be more ogrely persuaded by the muddy and solitude-based answers.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, whatever. Cinephiles, are you ready?
Ready.
Yeah, ready.
All right, so for question 1, I love Justin Timberlake. But this role of Artie is probably my least favorite role of his to date. And that is including the blood-soaked shirt singing in the arcade ex-military JT that we have also talked about in this show.
Southland Tales.
That's right.
Love it.
So let's kill Artie. Shrek still don't want to be a king, so he needs to find another one to replace him. So in the Shrek's verse, who is going to take his throne? Your opponent will be Shrek and pick the successor, but I want you to be their political hype man, and for the character that you're given, deliver a speech to Far, Far Away for why they will make a great ruler. So we're going to start with Josh, and that means Rashawn.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to give Josh?
I'm giving Josh, I know he likes a challenge, none other than Prince Charming.
Okay. So, Rashawn, tell us a little bit about what you've been watching lately or any of your writing projects you've been doing.
Ooh, I am shooting a short film that one that Josh wrote and then one that I wrote.
That's so exciting.
Wow. Finally getting to stretch some director muscles. So
What's
I'm really
about?
excited about that. Mine is about, stick with me, a woman who kills her boyfriend because she found out he was cheating on her. And she finds some voodoo to bring him back to life because she didn't mean it. And she just wants to get back together.
Oh.
So it's like, I know I killed you, but I brought you back to life. So let's make it work.
So is it more of like a horror type theme, or is it more of a romantic comedy type theme?
A marriage of both.
Okay.
I love it.
He doesn't come back quite right, but she just wants to make things work because she didn't mean to do it.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And then I watched the Snyder Cut.
I haven't found 2 days to set aside yet to do that. So,
and it's a movie, guys.
It's a lot of movie.
It's a lot of movie.
Fair enough. Josh, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So you are the hype man, and you need to convince Far, Far Away why Prince Charming should be the next ruler.
Ladies and gentlemen of Far, Far Away, our dear, dear Frog King has ribbited his last ribbit. Obviously, the lineage should carry on, but it pains me to say the descendants of the Frog King are ill-equipped to rule this great nation of ours. So I put it to you, royalty should not be passed on to some swamp-dwelling ogre or some high school geek. Royalty should be passed on to royalty. Who has the experience? Who has the charisma? Who has the wealth? None other than Prince Charming. Ladies and gentlemen, your new king of Far, Far Away.
Wow. Yeah, I got some like real like FDR, JFK vibes there.
Thank
like,
you.
I,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was getting some Paul Bettany vibes.
See, that's what I was hoping for.
Josh, what would Prince Charming's first duty, like act, be as king?
Are you laughing at duty too?
Yeah. So there they are.
Prince Charming's first official act as royalty would be to punish those that have stood in his way.
Oh.
Okay. Glad that was not part of the speech. Yeah.
It was omitted for a reason.
Yeah, good.
Smart.
Okay, so then let's flip the table here. And Josh, who are you going to give Rashawn?
So if I'm Shrek, I want to pass it on to someone I trust. Already bit the big one. Donkey, I trust Donkey implicitly, but he's not a king. He's got his dragon. He's got his family. Plus, I want Donkey to come. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I want Donkey to come live with me in the swamp. He's my best friend. Puss, I trust Puss. He's a free spirit. You can't keep him down.
Oh no.
So who else has been there for me thick and thin since the beginning? My ride or die, Gingerbread Man.
Okay.
All right. Well, Rashawn's going to think a little bit. Josh, we hear that you have written something.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about what you wrote?
I wrote a fan film. I used to do a lot of these. I used to film a lot of fan films, sort of love letters to video games or other movies or comic book characters. And I decided to do another one about my favorite X-Man that nobody talks about. And that is Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man. So Rashawn not only gets to direct me in something I've written, but he gets to direct multiple of me in something I've written. It's his dream come true. 2
Joshes. I love it.
You get 2 Joshes for the price of 1, Rashawn.
So is it more of an origin story? Is it an adventure? Like where do we like, kind of meet Multiple Man?
It's just a little 8-minute sort of snippet that a scenario that hasn't happened in the comics, but could, because I've read all of his just to make sure. No origin, just a little sort of a glimpse into who he is as a character and what he does and doesn't do well.
So kind of a day in the life.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little snapshot of Multiple Man, and because his comics have always been very appealing to me because he does a lot of gumshoe work. He does a lot of detective interrogating. Like he kind of puts on his detective hat a lot, and I think that's an interesting side of a character in the X-Men universe where everything is so big and grandiose, but someone to just kind of like, I don't know, solve little crimes.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm so ready for this.
You ready, Rashawn?
Yeah.
All right, so you are the hype man for Gingerbread Man.
Hear ye, hear ye. Homies and homegirls. I have got the perfect candidate for the people. Someone who has faced adversity, someone who has looked the monarchy in the eye and spit in it. Someone who has gone through a loss, a terrible loss, losing both of their lower limbs, and somehow gaining them back with, I'm guessing, is cream cheese filling. Don't question me about it. I don't have any facts, just feelings. Someone who is always joyful, sensitive enough to attend a baby shower, but also ready to ride or die and protect the castle. Always joyful, a man of the people. Don't be stingy. Vote Gingy.
Don't.
Okay.
I feel like Josh knew that one was coming.
I played myself.
So, Rashawn, what is Gingy's first act as king?
Gingy's first act as king is making every third Friday of the month Candy Day. From sunup to sundown, the only thing you can eat is candy.
Isn't he part candy? Isn't he concerned about, being consumed?
No. That's a great point that I didn't think about. But
I mean, okay. So just to help you out, his clothing is made out of candy. Like he's gingerbread.
yeah, his gum drop buttons. Yeah.
Yeah, so he does.
That's the scenario. He backs into a corner and he's set.
Stand at the top of the castle and say, "Eat my shit," and that's someone that you can really count on.
That's a way to reign over a kingdom.
Yeah.
So question 2. This soundtrack for me was one of the worst mixes from 2007's cheap popular music songs and hype songs that your 40-year-old dad can still tap his toe to while crying inside because his kid wants to watch Shrek 3 again. So fix it. I need you to choose 3 songs and tell us what scene in the movie that you would place them in. And we're going to start with Josh again.
Great. So I think a big thing that Shrek likes to do is take popular songs or almost popular songs and ride the wave of popularity in the movie. So the first moment we're going to switch up is the Hook ambush with the Ents. He can play piano eventually, but Hook has, I wanted something more dastardly. I wanted something maybe a little more themed. It doesn't have to be pirate music. So I'm thinking they wake up, Ents are there, kick in the door, the fight starts. We get the opening measures to Shipping Up to Boston from Dropkick Murphy, the 2005 song. That kicks off the fight at 11. All right. Next location in the film, we got all the princesses and Fiona prepping and Gingerbread and all the fairy tale creatures. That's, I think, the one thing that song was missing was something really to hype the whole situation up. So we're going for a 2007 song with this one. Someone who is at the height of his popularity, and I would argue the height of his likability in 2007, as all of the princesses are getting ready to rebel. We're hitting them with Stronger by Kanye West. The opening, as they're setting up, they're getting it ready to go. That beat is hitting. We're hype. Finally, I was really missing something with the finale with all the kids. The animation was cute. The scenes were cute. The music didn't hit. So we're going with one of my favorite comedic and thematic bits. We're going with a classic callback. And in the finale with the kids, we're getting Smash Mouth's I'm a Believer from 2001. playing
that's
over it.
cute.
Little callback. It's cute. Maybe you get the baby ogres to sing it. I don't know. Maybe Donkey sings it again. I don't know. I'm not a musician. All I know is the callback is going to feel real good right here. You can't. I'm pointing at my heart. You can't see it. It's out of frame, but I'm pointing at the heart.
Those are good choices.
Good picks, Josh, man. You got a tough road ahead of you, Rashawn.
I know. So one thing I can say about Shrek the Third, I don't think it was long enough. So we're gonna stretch this bitch out. You know what I mean?
That's a bold first step, man.
So we're gonna start at one of my favorite gags, the boat. Shrek poses against the bow of the ship, pushes it into the ocean, throws the bottle, and of course we know inexplicably it catches fire. Now, we didn't get to see the perspective of everyone on the ship. And I think an extended, prolonged action sequence of everyone escaping from the ship would just really cement this movie as a masterpiece. So we're going to have everyone escaping from the ship, and we're going to set it to Gimme Shelter.
What?
I mean, they're going to be swinging from the mast. They're going to be jumping into the water. There's sharks out there. They're going to be, paddling for the shore. And the whole time you're just going to hear, I don't know what copyrights you guys have, so I'm not going to sing it. But so then we have right after that, because we need a little whiplash in the movie, we're going to pivot right to Fiona on the dock. And she's so sad. She just told Shrek that she is pregnant. He's sailing away after he's chosen to go look for Artie. And she says, I'm pregnant. And then similar to what happens in Frozen, we're going to get an I Want moment. And she's going to sing The Story by Brandi Carlile. From start to finish. She's not going to move. There's no choreography. She's just going to stand on the dock and hold her pregnant belly. And as the words say, yes, it's true. I was made for you. It's a beautiful moment. I think you guys would love it. And then finally, we get to the storming of the castle by Fiona and the princesses. Snow White goes up. She sings all of her woodland creatures come. They flank her, and she does a full number set to Single Ladies by Beyonce. Choreography and all. The squirrels pretty much nail it, slay the entire choreography. And she also has the bedazzled metallic one glove that Beyonce has, and she just wrecks it. I just think this movie would benefit from us stopping and having a few musical numbers. So,
bold statement, Rashawn.
Yeah, you're talking to Wesley, who hates musicals,
I've been
and
on
Ben,
your show
who
to
hates
discuss a musical.
Beyonce.
I know. I was
And Wes, who hates long movies.
challenging Wes.
I respect being willing to die on that hill, though, Rashawn.
Absolutely.
Way to go.
For question 3, as a final giant thank you to our guests for taking over both contender slots today, we wanted to do something kind of nice and hide the last question so that you have to think on your toes. Fiona has just given birth, except the babies look an awful lot like Puss in Boots. So I need you to pretend that I am Shrek, and as Fiona, I want you to try to talk your way out of it.
Shrek, you know how much I love your beautiful green skin, right? And as the backbone of this franchise, I have something to tell you. Not that I don't love you, even though this news might seem like otherwise, but that I'm not going to give us 1, not 2, but 3 opportunities for a completely new trilogy. Because I just gave birth to the babies of Puss in Boots. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could I, right? Puss in Boots doesn't stink. He clips his toenails. And he's just all around a fashionista. Things that I would never say to describe you. But what he lacks in stink and stank, he makes up for in the bedroom. Now, Shrek 4, 5, and 6, I'm going to take that time, baby, to describe where I fell out of love with you, where I made my mistake, and where I came back to realize that you were the only one for me. Don't run away. Let's make this franchise last forever.
Okay. So am I understanding correctly that Shrek 4, 5, and 6 all take place immediately after Shrek 3?
Shrek 4, we're going back.
You're going back. Okay.
So we're going to be in between Shrek 1 and 2. And then Shrek 5 and 6 are kind of like New Nightmare meta, where like,
oh, sure.
You know, they know that they're in a Shrek movie, and Fiona is, let's say her name is Sheila, and she plays Fiona. She's an actual ogre.
Okay.
And we're just going to like milk this baby for all it's worth, because people will pay for a Shrek movie, baby.
I 1000% did not expect you to go there.
The hell just happened?
Nothing. Just don't even worry about it.
I don't like the look on Rashawn's face.
I don't know what just happened, but
I blacked out.
I blacked out. It was brilliant.
So, Josh, your question. Fiona has just given birth, except the babies look an awful lot like the gingerbread man.
Hell yeah.
So I need you to pretend that I am Shrek, and as Fiona, I would need you to try to talk your way out of that.
Shrek, sweetheart, listen, it's not what it looks like, okay? Okay, so it is exactly what it looks like. You were gone for so long, and even when you were here in the castle, you'd wake up, you'd yell at Donkey, you'd go eat something with Faye, and you'd go back to sleep. I was wandering the grounds all alone for so long. I have needs too, Shrek. I have needs too, and they weren't being met. Gingy was there. He was there for us. He's next in line for the throne, Shrek. What do you want from me? If anything, you should be glad. You didn't want to be a father in the first place. Now you don't have to be. Gingerbread said he'll take over all the responsibilities. You know what, Shrek? I think we should break up.
Whoa. Wow.
Wow, you both went places I did not expect. Well, this was a fun one. Again, thank you both for competing. Amazing answers all around. So we'll go through here from top to bottom, T to B. Question 1, Artie's dead, and your opponent gave you somebody in Shrekverse to campaign for as the next ruler. Rashawn gave Josh Prince Charming. I love the line, our Frog King has ribbited his last ribbit. The descendants are ill-equipped, and your reasoning for your justification, I guess, maybe is a better way to put it, but that you need somebody with experience, charisma, and wealth to be in power. All great points. Josh gave Rashawn Gingerbread Man. Little peek at question 3 as well. I love that you guys both got to do one.
And do one.
Yeah. In general, I love both of your tones. I love that it was kind of like, yeah, this is the next guy. And here's why he's good. But Rashawn, the faced adversity, looking the monarchy square in the eye and spitting into it.
That was a good line.
But really that spit in the eye of the monarchy was the one that put it over for me. So Rashawn wins question 1.
Yeah, I knew it was game over as soon as he said that line.
Question 2 was addressing this crappy soundtrack. And we wanted you to pick 3 new songs to place into scenes in this movie. Josh, you had some really, really good reasons. Riding the wave on the battle with the Ents, you needed a dastardly song. And then Rashawn, I liked your song choices. The boat gag, and I'm gonna overlook the trying to extend this movie.
Oh, come on.
And Ben's going to overlook the fact that you added Beyonce. Because I think that those were, you had good reasons for them. And the songs did make sense for the emotion in that scene. But the biggest thing between the two of you was that Josh has actually kind of fit into how this movie was and kind of replaced songs, where Rashawn's, you reshaped this movie and added entire scenes. I have to say, though, imagining an animated movie where Princess Fiona stands motionless on a dock for like what I'm assuming is like 3.5 minutes, no choreography, just deadpan into the camera. Like that's, kids are going to love it. But Josh is going to win that one for us today. So question 3, going into this with a tie, we surprised you with a last minute answer. And I'm sorry, Josh, that you did not get to hear Rashawn's answer. And it's unfair that Rashawn got to listen to yours, but they both came so far out of left field from what I was expecting. And it was a roller coaster from top to bottom. You guys both kind of started in the same-ish area of acknowledging, saying, you know, I still care about you. It's not what it looks like, you know, kind of the things you might expect to talk about in that situation. Rashawn, a couple key notes. Not that I don't love you, but it's not just 1 or 2, but 3 franchise opportunities for sequels. That you broke the fourth wall of Shrek and had Fiona campaigning to Shrek that having a baby with Puss in Boots is good for the movie franchise.
Yup.
I mean, come on. And just also thinking about that then the next 3 movies are this huge redemption arc for Fiona, this like Marvel-esque trajectory of a storyline within Shrek. I loved it.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no. What was happening?
Josh, you got the gingerbread man, the sweetheart listen. It's not what it looks like. Okay, it's exactly what it looks like. All you ever do is walk around the castle, yell at Donkey, and eat food. I have needs. The main difference here, I think, is that Josh, you almost kind of bailed on the situation and ended up just being like, all right, fuck it. We'll just get divorced. I'm not happy. Which is I'm nothing against if that's Fiona's choice, but I can't get over the meta-ness. And I think more so than anything, Rashawn was more surprised about his own answer than I was. And it made me so happy. So question 3 is going to Rashawn. So this week, Rashawn is going to win 2-1.
Very good.
Good job, Rashawn.
Congratulations.
Very good job, guys.
Thanks, guys.
But that means our guests get more points, which is super exciting. Because Ben, what does that mean?
Well, that means that they get a prize of their choice. And I guess because Rashawn was the winner today, he'll be the one that officially tips us over the 10-point mark. So Rashawn, what can we, give to you as a reward?
I know you guys kind of focus on 2007 and I love every episode. I think that you should focus in on the Oscars, which are coming up very soon.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear what you guys think about the nominations, who you think is going to win, what movies you love. I'm looking at you, Emily.
Have I even seen any movies?
Well, awesome. Thank you, Rashawn. We will definitely get on making that special. And thank you so much, you two, for being on today. It's greatly appreciated having guests of your caliber and quality. You guys brought a lot to the table today, and we do appreciate it.
So much talent. I love you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Josh, Rashawn, do you guys have anything else you want to plug before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, we have some really fun episodes. We just dropped yesterday our episode for Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, which is a doozy. As Josh just massages his temple.
Yeah, I'm guessing Josh wasn't the host of that one.
I'll give you 2 guesses, and the first one doesn't count. And then next week, like I said, we're doing some new movies, so check in with us, and we'll talk about Godzilla vs. Kong.
Where can we follow you guys? Where are you at?
Everywhere we're at is at Cinephile Attack. So that's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok now. Everything is at Cinephile Attack.
And we can get your podcast anywhere podcasts are found, right?
Yes,
anywhere.
Everywhere.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, guys, for being on. It was great having you. Thank you, everyone, for listening up to this point. If you feel so inclined, please give us a rating, subscribe, share us with a friend or two.
And when Cinephile Attacks.
Yep, and give a follow to Cinephiles. They're high quality, definitely. And we will be coming back next week with a movie from 2007 that is somehow worse than Shrek the Third. We are doing I Know Who Killed Me. And we'll be having on Dylan, who says this movie's just phenomenal. So we're expecting Dylan to really talk us through this movie and why it's so great.
Dylan, my man.
Thanks again, and follow us on social media at IDYP_podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and hit us up at idrinkyourpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. See ya.